Be very careful trusting people who talk like they have answers. Because these days, you should have a lot more questions than answers. And anybody that talks like they know is probably just full of shit. They're probably just trying to make money, slinging something, trying to get views, trying to capitalize. A patriot, P-A-Y-triot, a grifter. But right now, these are extremely confusing times. And anyone talking like they know, even if they truly believe it and they mean it, and have the best intentions, if they don't have more questions than answers, then they probably are have lulled themselves first into a false sense of security and are lulling you as well into this false sense of security. We live in a dualistic world, so if you're not expecting at least 1% shadow in every situation, then you don't understand the balance of duality, because you don't get light without shadow in this world. Yesterday, I touched on the mechanical that forced Trump's plane to do an emergency landing. And that got me thinking about airplanes. Because wasn't there just another airplane crash? Not that Trump's emergency landing is a crash, but clearly they had a mechanical. In Sao Paulo, am I saying that right? Brazil. So if you look into that plane crash, the plane just stopped and just fell like a rock. That was full of cancer researchers, cancer doctors. That's really interesting. Why would somebody, theoretically, right? Not saying it's foul play, but it's an awful coincidence that those researchers just happen to be on that exact plane. Statistically unlikely for that to happen. It seems like a great tragedy. Very important cancer researchers dying. Seems like the cure for cancer would create a massive blow to the pharmaceutical industry. And maybe, just maybe, these cancer researchers might point a finger at where all this turbo cancer is coming from. Because if you look at all the news articles in the world, I just read one that said that turbo cancer was being caused by artificial sweeteners. Maybe some percentage. But then I think we've all read similar absurdities about happy heart syndrome. Careful, don't be too happy. Might give you a heart attack. I saw one about if you're a white man, specifically you got to get that white guy in there. Got to keep it about the white guy. The majority oppressor for their little communist model. Victimhood and tyranny. Again, duality. Hegelian dialectics. Mirrors, blah, blah, blah. White guys that work out too much are much more likely to have heart attacks. Yeah, well, what about people that eat shit all day? I'd like to see the statistics on that. I'm sure Bill Gates could probably give me some pointers on how to lie with statistics. But see, what they're doing is just they're taking, they're explaining it away. Plausible deniability. Oh, well, some of it is happy heart, and some of it is working too much, and some of it is artificial sweeteners, and some of it is this, that, and the other thing. But it's really weird because something just recently happened where everybody was forced, illegally forced, to do something. Not people like me, because I'll go to prison before I do that shit. But your regular, day-to-day, paycheck-to-paycheck lemming took it. Because they didn't know their rights. And they didn't have integrity. And they couldn't say no. They couldn't resist the pressure. They couldn't be uncomfortable. They were afraid because of the pain and the discomfort of moving away from a job that kept them comfortable. They accepted something into their body that was basically putting them in a position of a lab rat. So that's what they're covering up. And that takes me to my next plane crash. Malaysian Flight 17. This flight was full of scientists, researchers that were doing an mRNA shot to cure AIDS. And that plane crashed. Isn't that weird? It's a lot of scientists dying on planes. It's a lot of coincidences with planes and important people. It almost seems like something that belongs on the Clinton list, but like a macro version of that. It almost seems like there's a lot of foul play, because that's a lot of coincidences. So it's not only just a coincidence that one set of researchers, cancer researchers, happened to be on the unlucky plane whose engines stopped and fell to their death, with 68 people total. Because they don't care about, if you watch my videos, you've seen that they'll kill many people to just get the one that they need. And that way it just looks like a random guy went into a supermarket in Buffalo, right, and just started plugging at people. Forget that the security guard had invented a car that runs on water. Don't pay attention to that. It was just a random crazy that was radicalized by the right. This is modus operandi. And then that technology, that mRNA technology that wasn't used for AIDS, was cut, paste, and used for COVID. It's weird how they didn't talk about that. Nobody talks about that. It's the same technology. And every time a group of scientists end up meeting some terrible tragedy, there's somebody that benefits. Pharmaceutical company always benefits when these things happen. There are, like I always say, when coincidences stack, it's one thing to have a freak accident. But when you have freak accident after freak accident after freak accident, coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, that's a pattern. Patterns follow a pattern. So it's predictable. So you understand that it's part of a tapestry of behavior. It's the way they do things. Just like you recognize on the Clinton the Clinton list, we know what list I'm talking about. I'd be shocked if this video stayed up, by the way, because I'm pretty sure I slipped a couple of times. I need to watch the algos. But it'll be on Rumble, it'll be on YouTube, it'll be on TikTok, so find me there. It's like the Clinton list. When somebody gets 2 taps on the back of the head and it's deemed a suicide, maybe that's a bad corner. Maybe that's somebody that does, you know, passed with a D-, and he showed up to work hungover, just like the mechanic from Trump's airplane, right? But when it happens multiple times, it's a message. Don't fuck with us. People in the inside circle understand these things very well. They understand how the game is played. They understand that it's life or death. It's their ass if they fuck with the cult. They understand that these are calling cards, just like when Anthony Bourdain, Kate Spade, Chris Cornell, Chester Bennington were all part of the Red Scarf Club. That was a calling card. That was a calling card. That was to let everybody know, shut your fucking mouth or you're next. We've all seen the movie where the cat burglar leaves a calling card to let them know who did it because of the big ego. Or the serial killer. We've all seen that movie where they have a calling card to let them know so they can take credit for it. Well, it's also done to warn people. You shut your fucking mouth. These are patterns. These are patterns. Whenever I see anything, I don't have answers. I'm not saying I have answers, and I'm not saying I'm right. But I recognize patterns, and the patterns look the same to me. I wanted to go from the Clinton list to the Hussein list, because a Cessna crashed a few years ago as well. And on it, it had the Hawaiian Health Department lady that certified his birth certificate, Loretta Fuddy. The Cessna crashed and she survived. There's video of it. It was on television. And Loretta Fuddy's the only one. The crash was a joke. It was a soft water landing. And they all kind of got out and swam around until someone came to rescue them. But Loretta Fuddy, even though she made it out of the plane and was floating around like everybody else, somehow drowned. And if you look at the footage that was actually on TV, you can see the scuba divers. They are literally, I've done videos on this. You can go back, I forget what the name of my video is, but it's in one of my 17 drops videos. I stop it and I talk about it. And you can see face gear, snorkel, they're full body, dressed in black, covered in black suit. This is modus operandi. And speaking of Clinton lists, what is another Cessna famous for crashing that changed the course of history, like all these other planes? The one JFK Jr. was flying when he was running up against Hillary Clinton. And then when they recovered The wreckage, it wasn't even the same plane. So now all the Vincent Fusca people can ask some questions too. Don't forget that the whole JFK Jr. conspiracy aspect of it may be just a ruse, because it started when Q went dark and R came on the scene claiming to be the next evolutionary step of it, alluding to being JFK Jr., and that's when Fusca appeared. But Trump sure keeps pointing to Fusca for some reason, and so does the media. Which brings me back to what I always talk about. Is the whole thing a movie? Are all these events actually real, but now they're being exposed in movie form? 17 told us that we would be shown. So is this it? Were we expecting something more dramatic, like a blackout that only had one channel playing the same thing over and over and over, forcing us to watch it, basically forcing us to have nothing to do except watch the frazzled dot rip movie? Is that what we expected? And is this what we got instead? He said the end won't be for everyone. I can tell you I'm not very satisfied, but I do want an end. And these plane crashes, in my opinion, I'm not talking like I know, because I don't, but I know a pattern when I see one. That I do know. These patterns need to be recognized because they leave calling cards as warnings to other people that think they can fuck with the system, with a cult. Is this the movie that's waking up the world? Probably. Are people like me calling this shit out to everybody's attention? How it was meant to be? Probably. Because no one's coming to save us. Everyone's talking about, it's just a psyops to get people to lay back, trust the plan, and eat your popcorn. Bullshit. He went on to say, trust yourself. He went on to say that if we don't stand up, ain't shit gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. We the people are the government. We the people, through consent, informed consent, delegate our God-given powers to our government. Consent of the governed. Consent of the governed. So it only stands to reason that it's we the people that will inform we the people. And this movie is clearly helping, because all I see is patterns. Like I said the other day, don't just see stuff. Learn to see through stuff. And learn to see what's not being shown. And learn to hear what's not being said. New Vlad Daily coming very soon, probably tonight or tomorrow. Keep an eye out. Thanks for watching. God bless.